When is it? Back on? Back down.
Yeah. I think you just turned it on.
Priya. Priya.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Yanisha, and I'm Urja Saha. Welcome to the 9th Annual Enfluence Public Speaking Conference. The single mission of this event is to uplift the community through activism by our youth leaders. This is one of the most colorful rooms we will be in. We have several nonprofits passionate about their cause, esteemed delegates who have been working towards uplifting our community for decades, parents joining hand in hand with us to create the future leaders in their homes, and more importantly, the youth, the future leaders of America, here to advocate for causes that create positive change in their communities. Together, we're excited to shape a better future. Without further ado, we're happy to commence Enfluence 2025.
This event wouldn't be of as much magnitude without our esteemed delegates. Today we're joined by extraordinary chief guests, so please give a round of applause to Senator Linda Greenstein, Mayor Charles Carley, and Mr. and Mrs. Chibukula. Thank you so much for joining us today and listening to these youth leaders' powerful speeches on subjects they're passionate about spreading awareness on. I would like to welcome the Honorable Senator Linda Greenstein to this event. Senator Greenstein is a politician who represents the 14th Legislative District in the New Jersey Senate. She has had years of professional experience, including being a specialist in disability law, the staff attorney for a community health law project, and the assistant district attorney for the city of Philadelphia. In 2014, she received the Barbara Boggs Sigmund Award, which is presented to a Democratic woman who has a successful career and who is a leader promoting policies in support of women and families. This award is presented to those who have made continuous efforts to advance the careers and opportunities for women. Senator Greenstein has spent her entire career to support and improve lives of all people in this nation, and we as New Jerseyans and we as Americans are honored for her to represent us and our values.
Mr. Chibukula was nominated by Governor Christie as a commissioner to the New Jersey BPU and confirmed by the Senate on September 22nd, 2014. He served as commissioner until August 2022, and Mr. Chibukula, prior to this, has extensive experience as a New Jersey assemblyman. His contributions to our community also extend to his time as mayor of Franklin Township and council member. Serving on the NCSL and CSG, as well as his current role in telecommunications, critical infrastructure, and international relations committee of NARUC, and a member of the MAC-RUC, Mr. Chibukula has strove for the betterment of our community. We are so glad to have him here today. Mrs. Chibukula has taught in the Grover Middle School of the West Windsor Plainsboro School District from 1999 till 2018. Prior to that, she taught as a professor of Spanish in the Rutgers Department of Spanish and Portuguese. She also taught at St. Peter's High School, New Brunswick. Mrs. Chibukula specialized in methodology development and was engaged in teaching her fellow teachers on methodology development. As she has motivated her students to excel, her efforts were recognized by her students and try to stay in touch with her during her retirement. Now a shout out to our amazing nonprofits. I'll Lakshmi K. Bellaconda. Youth with Soraya Gala and Sahasra Jetty. And Hidden Gems with Aditi Perlaker.
And Venkatesh Suresh with American Tamil Entrepreneur Association. Now we would like to invite Ms. Priya to the stage to say a few words before commencing Enfluence 2025.
Today is not my day to speak for a long time, but I feel today we are in the most powerful room ever because we all have one thing in our minds, to uplift our community. We have our delegates who are thinking, breathing that every day. We have our nonprofits who are always consistently thinking about making a change in our community. And of course, we have our parents and students who are consistently dreaming about making leaders for the future. What more can be more powerful than this room? And it's an honor to have you all, and it's a pleasure that we are doing this on the longest day of the year. Today is the summer solstice, and it makes a difference that we are all here together for a common mission. Welcome you all.
So a little about the Influencer Level 5 program which all these students are in. In this course, students embrace the fact that leadership is much more than just grabbing a mic and speaking. Rather, effective leadership comes from engaging in positive change and inspiring others to follow your path. Influencers hone in on the nuances of public speaking and community service as they serve as brand ambassadors of an area in need in their environment. They use the skills from this course to inspire others to join them, and together craft a world filled with kindness, compassion, and righteous leadership.
I vividly remember my level 5 journey. Before I started level 5, speeches were just done to get a good grade or win a debate. Professional speaking back then was just an interesting skill to have in my toolbox. But as I walked into the Influencer program, I learned that between speaking and influencing, together they have the power to make an amazing change in the world. Indeed, level 5 was a very demanding step, but all worth it. Today's students have worked diligently, collaborating with nonprofits across the country and making speeches to be remembered. And I'm so excited to hear what they have to share. And now I would also like to introduce another one of our esteemed delegates, Mr. Charles Carley, the Mayor of South Brunswick. Elected in 2004 to the South Brunswick Township Council, Mayor Carley had goals to uplift the senior center, which received many upgrades during his time. Furthermore, he supervised the addition of the South Brunswick Wellness Center under the management of Penn Medicine Princeton Health. Mr. Carley has been an active member of an engaged government body. Mayor Carley has earned numerous awards, including the American Society of Civil Engineers Service to the People Award. The award rewards individuals for their service to the general public. Mayor Carley has also been recognized by the New Jersey State Legislature, the YMCA, and the Indo-American Cultural Foundation of Central New Jersey for his civic endeavors. We are honored to have such an active mayor as part of our New Jersey government and here in the room today to listen to these fantastic speeches.
A little bit more about my personal experience with the Level 5 journey. The Level 5 Influencer journey was not just a simple program for me to continue ameliorating my public speaking skills, but rather a way for me to learn how to become a true leader who sparks change in my community. We stepped outside the realm of just crafting and perfecting speeches and instead looked at ways to spot social issues in our community that we're passionate about, figure out ways how to advocate for that cause, and become a brand ambassador in an effort to remedy it. The course extended beyond technical speaking skills into a transformative experience, instilling skills such as leadership, problem solving, collaboration, and selfless acts into my life forever.
going to begin with the awaited event for the day, our students' fantastic speeches. But before we begin that, allow us to explain the papers in front of the inspired students in today's audience. To enhance the learning experience, all inspired students have been given a worksheet. Before we begin the first speech, make sure you fill out the quick warm-up questions. And following each speech, write down your ideas for the corresponding questions, ranging from content to presentation. Now we will start with our speeches. No parent ever imagines choosing between paying rent and paying for their child's next round of chemo. But for many families, childhood cancer doesn't just attack the body. It shatters everything. Every year, around 400,000 children worldwide under age 19 are diagnosed with cancer. In the United States alone, roughly 9,550 children will be diagnosed in 2025. Routines vanish. Jobs are lost. This isn't just a health crisis, it's a family crisis, a community crisis, a soul-crushing reality where even survival comes with scars. So when a child battles cancer, the entire family fights too. Come listen to one voice speaking up for those who often can't, and ask yourself, if this were your child, wouldn't you want the world to care more? Without further ado, let's hear Shrey Palla on his speech, When Cancer Has a Child's Face.
Hello? I want you to take a minute and reflect on your life. Chances are that you can name several catastrophic events that have taken place, such as the 2001 Twin Towers attack, or even a more recent example, the COVID-19 pandemic. During both of these situations, one thing has gotten us through these problems, and that is the power of teamwork. We learned to work together and solve these problems. In 2001, the 11th of September, terrorists entered the country and destroyed the Twin Towers. We were all in a state of disillusionment when this happened. All Americans were terrified of what was come to next. We were worried that our country was going to be overrun by terrorists. But underneath the leadership of George W. Bush, we were all able to unite and embody the American spirit. We were all united to fight for America and to prevent these terrorists from taking over. A more recent example is the COVID-19 pandemic. During this pandemic, lots of people were unable to leave their homes, especially the elderly. And because of this, they struggled to get supplies. But with community leadership and teamwork, we were able to deliver these supplies and fight together as a community. As you can see, leadership is essential for solving major crises in society. But we continue to remain divided over certain issues, one of them being cancer. Nowadays, there are so many issues that are taking place in the world. We have global warming. We have foreign policy issues that are taking place in the Middle East. We are having a terror crisis. And because of these issues, we're focusing less and less on issues like cancer. So what can we do? We can stay united and fight together. In the United States especially, funding for cancer has decreased significantly due to these issues. And when you think about it, this is a major problem that we're dealing with. Because so many children can have their lives improved, but we aren't focusing on this issue right now. To put that into a scope, thousands of children every single year are diagnosed with cancer. These children, they find themselves going in and out of hospitals for years of their lives. These children who spend so much time in their hospital beds, dream of becoming a kid again. They want to enjoy their lives, not be stuck in beds. They want to go outside, they want to play with their friends, but cancer prevents them from doing so. Even for the parent, it's tragic. The parent doesn't have many options because cancer is so random. This leaves us with two options: to cry and to pray. Pray that your children recover. Today, one family here has gone through this exact same scenario that I've just mentioned. I would like to introduce you to Katul and Krupa Parikh, the parents of Om Parikh, who tragically lost their son Om Parikh due to a rare brain cancer. Om, he faced it with so much courage. He made the most out of every single moment that he had. Even his parents too, they supported him for whatever time he had left. But tragically, Om passed away when he was in middle school. But what emerged from the ashes became an unstoppable force, because through so many years of trying to gain the courage to act, the Parikhs were able to develop what is now known as the Om Parikh Cancer Awareness Nonprofit Organization. Now it's important to realize that this took a lot of time for them to develop. It didn't happen in a matter of a few days or a year. It took a lot of strength to overcome that tragic event that they experienced. Currently, the Om Foundation works with major corporations, such as BioConnect and even the Rutgers Institution of Cancer Technology. Currently, they have raised hundreds of thousands of dollars towards cancer research and cancer awareness. So let's give them a quick round of applause, because accomplishing such a feat is no easy task. So, what makes the Om Foundation unique? Well, for first, we believe in equality. You see, Om isn't the only one who is diagnosed with cancer, and only one who has his family struggling. There are people around the world who have children diagnosed with cancer who are unable to share their stories. But we at the Om Foundation, we aim to amplify those voices so that all voices in the world can be heard. We believe in equality and unity. But a lot of these nonprofits and organizations, they do the exact same thing. They promote a cause, they raise funds, and they share stories. So why is the Om Foundation so different? To that, I want to tell you a bit more about Om Parikh, who he really was as a kid. Om was diagnosed with a rare brain tumor when he was around 10 years old. Even when doctors told him he didn't have much time, he made the most out of every single moment that he had. He always found a way to keep that smile on. He found a way to always uplift the mood. He was a man of positive vibes. So Om, he wasn't just a kid who passed away from cancer. He was a symbol of what all of us aspire to be. Someone who makes the most out of every second of their lives. After Om passed away, a lot of us in Monroe, we were all in a state of disillusionment. No one knew where we should go. So when we all found out about the Om Parikh Foundation, everyone decided to pitch in. Adults and even children such as myself, high schoolers and middle schoolers. Every single year, we host an annual run and walk event, which gathers the attention of thousands of people throughout Monroe. Here, we aim to educate people about how we should deal with cancer. We encourage them that exercise and nutrition are essential towards preventing cancer from spreading into more people. The main role that we students have is that we aim to share these stories. We go community to community, house to house, door to door, we just aim to share the stories of Om and many children like him. But I decided to take a different approach. I love the idea of sharing stories to many people, but I just wanted to do it at another level. You see, we were only covering a small section of New Jersey, only 1 or 2 townships. But why not expand into the entire state of New Jersey, where there's millions and millions of people who can also learn about these children? So what I did was I took my instrument, my passion, and I decided to go to countless senior centers and assisted living centers and perform there to share their stories. Now you may be asking, why music? But to that, I want to ask you this question. What is one thing that both these children and adults have in common? They love music. Everyone loves music. It's what connects us in the world today. So when I was performing in front of all of these senior residents, I was able to share these stories, and I felt that it really touched their hearts. It just goes to show that if we're united, if we work together, that we can triumph over anything, even something so difficult to cure, such as cancer. This is exactly why we need your support. Although we are making progress towards finding a cure for cancer, our progress has slowed down significantly. So if you could pitch in $1, a cent, any donation, it would make a huge difference in the fight against cancer. I want you to think about it this way. Your donation is a lot more than just more cancer research or more cancer awareness. It is the opportunity for us to give the gift of life, exactly what God wanted us to do. These donations will echo through the lives of people for years to come. So join me as we help keep families stronger, united, and connected more than ever.
Thank you so much, Trey, for your insightful take on cancer research throughout the children of America. This is definitely an issue we need to tackle together as a community, and we appreciate you advocating for the cause. Now the floor is up for questions to ask Trey.
Yeah, Trey, it's a great presentation. My question is, you said you wanted to expand this organization, Home Foundation organization, statewide.
Yeah.
How do you plan to do that? And also, a lot of the times cancer is, you can, if you catch it in early stages, then you can really not prevent it, but properly control it. And one of the things I found is that a lot of people are not aware of it, even educated people, simple mammograms or, pap smear or, colon cancer, a lot of these things, the prostate, all those things they could do that, they neglect it or they think, it's not going to happen to me. How do you, also they say, oh, it happens, it's an act of God, sometimes people believe that. And how do you get that thinking out of there?
So how to spread it?
Yeah, how do you educate the people so that they can be participating? I think your organization can do that.
Yes, so that's a very good question. So what I do is I go to different townships, even South Brunswick, which you're the mayor of. So we're going to hopefully try to push the run into those areas so that people can also be educated about cancer.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello. Yes, I'm pretty impressed by the topic as well as by your delivery. And I want to bring up the fact that not only in Monroe, but right here in West Windsor, Plainsboro, I don't know if you're aware of it, but a young lady died in Grover Middle School out of brain cancer. And that is probably the most aggressive and the harder to detect on time, because when it hits and it finishes people. So as you can see, I retired from that school district and from that specific school, and I visit months later, and the whole community was affected. There is also one element that many people kind of, we cannot do anything about it, but they are all environmental issues. And as part of the research, it has come across a problem of plastics and the tremendous negative impact that it has in the everyday life. Like yesterday only, I threw away a Teflon cover frying pan. Why? Because I was reading, I didn't know anything about it when I bought it, but I wonder how many households really have Teflon frying pans, and they cut their vegetable and everything in plastic cutting board, which actually contributes to chemical particles that actually go into the cancer-producing substances. So I think that the awareness part is an important issue. The concern about sustainability and controlling of the environment, some efforts definitely need to be geared about that. What are your thoughts about it?
So could you rephrase the question to a little bit?
Yes, I would like to know in terms of, because it's not only the research is geared towards what causes cancer, all the out factors. I want to know if any of the efforts of your foundations are really geared towards the issues of sustainability, because the problems coming from the environment. How much are you trying to educate the people about the risk of having cancer-causing elements in their everyday life? Because that, in my opinion, that is extremely important. And that is the question. Is there any effort being done to really make people aware about the environment itself?
So it was like an environmental question?
How is the environment affecting the health through cancer-producing substances, and is the foundation addressing any of those, the environment?
So currently in society, we have a lot of processed food, especially in supermarkets, grocery stores, and this is a major problem, as they contain chemicals that most of us probably have never heard of. So this increases the chance of it being potentially dangerous. Additionally, a lot of these are preservatives. So this further affects our health. And for all we know, this could possibly be the cause of these diseases such as cancer. For plastic utensils, we should slowly try to move into alternatives. Maybe we could have an edible spoon instead of like a plastic spoon. Perhaps we could switch into that and use less of those plastic utensils. And for our foundation, we're trying to address this issue by trying to go throughout New Jersey, and we give a presentation about how cancer affects a lot of people. We address these issues, different treatments, and different ways to prevent it. So a lot of the ways we can prevent it is through education, so that people know what they're putting into their bodies, education on how they can prevent it, such as through exercise or even health.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your great speech. Next up, in many parts of the world, a child.
Can I go there? So I've been thinking recently. I want to hear your thoughts on this. It's a policy that I've thought about. So what if, in the state of New Jersey, we can have a month that is dedicated to each of these issues, such as cancer and even Alzheimer's. I know we have certain months, such as Breast Cancer Awareness Month or Mental Health Month, but what if we had state funding for these issues? What if we could pass a certain type of legislation that that makes schools to teach children about these types of diseases such as Alzheimer's, cancer? And eventually we can raise funds through state funding, such as them organizing certain campaigns throughout the state. And I believe that if we were to start at this small scale, we can eventually build up into potentially other states such as through Pennsylvania, New York, and we can eventually possibly get this legislation passed into the United States. So, do you need me to rephrase it? Okay.
Well, I think first we did a very good job, very well spoken, thoughtful. I think that's an interesting idea. Right now, you may know we have months for everything. We have Women's History Month, Black History Month, and many months have multiple names. So we already do something like that by just having people become more aware during that time. If you're talking about a real program to make people more aware about illnesses and the causes and all of that, that would be a new thing. I think it might be a very good thing to start in the schools with the young people and to perhaps have a month, for each of those.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because if we start at New Jersey, we can have so much influence over other states, potentially the entire US, and then a lot of other countries around the world really look up to the US. So we can help influence all these other countries throughout the world.
And I think it's important to start right here in New Jersey, I agree. And it might be something to take up, if you want to start with the schools, it might be something to take up with the statewide school associations and see if they have an interest. I mean, we don't want it to become like Disease of the Month Club, because I don't think that would go over. People might find it might be depressing for kids or whatever, but if it's done in a positive way and a productive way, then it could, it could be important, because you have to start by educating people about these things. I mean, the example about what Mrs. Chibukula was mentioning with pots and pans and other items in the house, it's very, very important that people know more about this. We in the legislature will often form educational campaigns as part of our legislation. And right now, I'm doing a lot of bills that actually have to do with the environmental causes of cancer. It has to do with PFAS, if you've heard of that, these forever chemicals and how they get into our pots and pans and other items. And we're doing a lot of legislation related to that right now, so we're trying.
Sounds good.
Next, in many parts of the world, a child's future depends on something as basic as lunch. Millions of children are kept out of school, not because they lack motivation, but because they lack food. In India, school meal programs have shown that a single meal a day is often enough to get a child back into classrooms and keep them there. One plate a day isn't just lunch, it's liberation, because it unlocks potential through education. What makes this urgent for all of us, even in New Jersey, is this. Because if we believe in equity, we can't turn away from children left behind, not by choice, but by circumstance. Listen to our youth leader, Ishan Sarda's speech, the $20 that changed a life, on his passionate belief that the first step into changing a life is just by putting food on the table.
A boy sits in the back row of a classroom. His eyes are on the blackboard, but his thoughts are somewhere else. His head aches. His stomach is tight. He's not thinking about math. He's thinking about food. The teacher asks him a question, but he doesn't respond. Not because he doesn't understand the problem, but because he hasn't eaten since yesterday. This boy is one of millions. Children who want to learn, but can't. Not because there's not enough schools, not because they don't care, but because hunger stands in the way. We often say education is the key to breaking the cycle of poverty. But what if the real barrier isn't books or teachers? What if it's just an empty stomach? I didn't always understand this. I'm sure all of you, whether you're a kid, an adult, or a teen, had that one food when you were younger that you thought was your kryptonite. For some of you, it may have been Brussels sprouts. For some of you, it may have been spinach. For me, however, it was asparagus. I hated this stuff. As my parents know, I would never touch it. However, both my parents, especially my mom, love asparagus, which means it showed up a lot. And every time, I would never eat it, which means it usually ended up in the exact same spot, the bottom of the trash can. And my parents would always say, don't waste it. I didn't really understand this. I never had to cook food or work for it. It just showed up on my plate, and I ate it. But one day, over yet another plate of asparagus I wasn't willing to eat, my dad told me a story. One that changed the way I looked at food forever. My dad told me a story of my grandfather, and I'm about to tell it to all of you. My grandfather grew up in a small rural village in India about 50 years ago. He was smart, curious, always asking questions. He truly wanted to go to school. However, most days, he had to make a choice. He could either stay at home and eat, or go to school. Now, the path to school wasn't easy. He had to wake up early, before the sun was even in the sky. Walk over an hour and a half, more than 5 miles, every single day, under the hot Indian sun, just to sit in a cramped classroom with cracked walls and old chalk on the blackboard. And since he had to wake up so early, it meant that he would miss breakfast and lunch, meaning he had to do all of this on an empty stomach. However, he still tried. He'd wake up while it was still dark out. His stomach was already grumbling. Make the trek to school. Try to ignore the pain, the dizziness, the cramps. Try to focus and learn. But eventually, the hunger won. He was forced to drop out. And that could have been the end of his story. It probably should have been the end of his story. But one day, something changed. A temple, just across the street from the school, started offering free lunches. And suddenly, he didn't have to choose. He could get both, a classroom and a meal. So he re-enrolled in school, started studying and working harder, actually became the first in my family to graduate, earned a degree as an engineer, landed a high-paying job in the city, raised a family, and decades later, sent me, his grandson, to the United States of America, in a world he could only dream of, where I never have to wonder where my next meal will come from, where now I have the chance to attend some of the world's top universities. All of this, generations of change, just because someone thought to make sure he had lunch. My grandfather's story is powerful, but unfortunately, it's not unique. All across the world, in developing countries, millions of children still face the exact same impossible choice. Eat or learn, study or survive. And it's not an easy choice to make. And that's why the stakes are so high. When a student drops out due to hunger, we don't just lose another student. We lose the doctor they could have become, the entrepreneur, the inventor, the change maker. The stakes are higher than we could possibly imagine. Still, there's a huge misconception surrounding this issue of food insecurity. In fact, I even made it earlier in the speech. Did you catch it? Probably not. I said that in developing countries, millions of children still face the same impossible choice. While that is true, it gives the bad image that food insecurity is only prevalent in developing countries. It's right here too. In the United States of America, a place we often call the land of opportunity, 1 in every 5 children face food insecurity. This means that tonight, 14 million American kids will be going to bed without dinner. Now you might be asking yourself, if this is such a big problem, what does a real solution even look like? Well, I've seen one, and its name is Akshapatra. Akshapatra is actually Sanskrit for inexhaustible vessel, or a bowl that can never run out, no matter how many people are fed, no matter how many minds are fueled. And that's exactly the mission of Akshapatra, to make sure that no child is denied education because of hunger. Akshapatra, every single day, Akshapatra prepares and delivers over 2 million meals to schools across India. In fact, they're the world's largest non-profit school meal program. And I've seen their kitchens up close. They're almost industrial. Huge steel pots of bubbling dal, chapatis rolling out of machines like clockwork. The biggest factories in India can make over 100,000 meals in just a few hours. However, it wasn't just the scale that impressed me, it was the intention. Every single thing they do, every system, every meal, every morsel of food has intention behind it because they know what's at stake. I've been lucky enough to be involved with Akshapatra from a young age. I've had the chance to visit their kitchens, speak at galas, or organize fundraisers or walkathons. But no matter who I talk to or where I go, the message always comes back to this. One meal can change a life. Now, I'm not a politician. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not some successful billionaire. I'm just a 14-year-old. But I've seen what food can do. My family has lived the consequences, but more importantly, the possibilities of that one meal. If someone had stepped into my grandfather's life over 50 years ago, I might not be standing here today. His life and mine could have taken a very different trajectory. But thankfully, someone did. And now I get to stand here and ask all of you, will you do the same for someone else? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ishan, for showing us that food truly is the source of life.
Oh, yeah. I wanted to say you did a great job. And you're absolutely right. You know, I think those of us that have enough food, which is most people, many people here in America, have a tendency to not realize the impact of people not having food. There are a couple of great groups out there to deal with hunger. And I remember even 25 years ago when I first got into the legislature, and I realized that few people were really focusing on hunger. I thought, gee, I just didn't realize this was such a big issue here, and I now realize it is a big issue even in America for many people, and I think you're right, it can completely influence you like your grandfather. I think that was a great story because it would make people realize what a difference it can have in somebody's life. So I think it's a wonderful issue to focus on. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I have a quick question for you. How are you involved with Akshapatra? It's a great organization. I have participated in the walkathons and different events they have. And you are absolutely right that food, learning is directly tied to the food. If you are hungry, a child cannot learn. And so you are active in Akshapatra. Your family is active.
Yeah, so my family has been a part of Akshapatra for about the last 10 years, and I've recently gotten more into it. So, unfortunately in the US, mostly we just do fundraising, but I help organize walkathons or galas or fundraisers in general.
we would love to have her come up on the stage and share some words of wisdom to our audience. Or you.
Thank you. I just want to say, first of all, to the parents as well as the students, you're really part of a wonderful program. I want to commend you. I think I've been to most of these every year for the last 20 years or whatever, and I've heard many students speak, and I just am amazed at how well you learn to speak publicly. It's not an easy thing to do, and to get up there without notes and to be able to put together an entire speech and to say it so well is a wonderful trait to have that will really help you in so many different jobs. So again, I want to commend Priya and all the people involved in the program, and all of you families who join it, and all of the young people who become part of it. Thank you.
We go up the other side here.
Scooch in.
Lots of frames. That way you don't catch me with my eyes closed.
Oh, should I take one more? Let me get one more.
More is better.
Okay.
Thank you.
Please have a seat.
Want to be chaos.
Once again, Ishan, thank you so much for that speech, for showing us that food is essential for our education in the future ahead. Now, a quick shout out to our nonprofits again. We have Asha for Education, Care for Me, CASA for Children of Mercer and Burlington Counties, Hidden Gems, Mercy and Love, Srinivasan, Town New Jersey, Ruchudama Foundation, Youth Roots, and American Tamil Entrepreneurship Association. And a quick reminder to all Inspire students in the audience to fill out the worksheets as we move through the speeches. Over 32 million children live in book deserts, places with little or no access to libraries, reading materials, or quiet spaces to learn. In rural and underserved communities, students grow up surrounded by outdated books, under-equipped schools, and no connection to the outside world. But everything changes when a community gets its first library, with solar lights, shelves of real books, computers, and Wi-Fi. Children discover stories. Teens gain skills like coding and digital literacy, and teachers get resources to grow. Curiosity just becomes contagious. A library isn't a building. It's a portal that turns isolation into imagination. On this note, let's give a warm welcome to our next leading speaker, Navia Jha, with her speech on isolation to imagination.
The youth are the hope for the future. We are the future. This is a phrase you've definitely heard once in your life. We youth are supposed to go to school in order to get into a good college and eventually get a job that will 240 million kids all around the globe who don't get this education. How are they supposed to share their ideas? And how are they supposed to make a change? A girl from Yemen, her name Ala Muhammad, her mom went through a divorce at a young age, left with no other family and no job to raise her daughter. Ala had to wake up early hours in the morning and to walk multiple miles. But it wasn't a straightforward path. It was a dangerous one, with many mountains, many rocky areas, and even animals that could jump out at her at any moment. When she got to school, her teachers weren't even qualified enough to be teaching her, because they themselves hadn't got that proper education. Then on the way home, it starts raining. She gets back to her house as quickly as possible, just to find out that all of her notebooks are soaking wet. She has to open up a new notebook and rewrite every single one of her notes. For us, we don't have this type of experience. We have buses that take us to and from school. We have backpacks to keep our notes safe. We have school-issued Chromebooks. And we even have teachers who are qualified for their jobs. So what is the difference between us and this girl from Yemen? The answer would be money. In order for her to have a vehicle to take her safely to and from school, she needs money. In order for proper teachers, they need money. And in order for backpacks and unlimited materials, they need money. We have so many people who want to help, who dedicate their lives to helping these uneducated kids. We have other people who have stacks of money lying around, ready to be used. So then why is there no change happening? You yourself probably don't trust in many organizations. You believe that this is not an issue that is relevant to you. Or you think that someone else will do it for you. But now look to the person on your right, and then look to the person on your left. They're thinking the exact same thing. But if we don't take action, then this won't only affect these kids' futures, but it will affect all of us as well. As more and more people descend into poverty, and more uneducated people enter the workforce, there's more economic strain. On top of that, crime rates rise, because all these kids and all these parents all they want is to help their family. And so they resort to stealing. One thing leads to another, and the next thing you know, there is so much social unrest. When you help these kids, not only do you receive the respect of your peers, but you're also able to help them make a change. Ala Muhammad is now grown up. She has 2 children, and she's an educational activist. She was a global youth ambassador for education in Yemen, and as well, she was part of many coalitions and communities to help others. Because she knows what it's like to not have that proper education. She knows what it's like to not have enough. And she wants to make sure no one else will have to go through what she did. But this isn't just something that is relevant in Yemen. It's relevant to us too. Because right here in New Jersey, 1 in every 5 people from ages of 16 to 24 don't have an education and don't have a job. Right here in New Jersey, where we all live. You may not trust many organizations, and you may not have the means to provide for these children with donations of money. But thousands of dollars is not the only way to help these children. The Village Book Builders are an organization who create libraries for these kids all across the world. They built 20 libraries in over 10 countries and have helped more than 16,000 kids so far. Their latest project in Uganda, and they've helped alone 1,600 kids with just that project. They also combat the 4 big issues of poverty: the lack of materials, geographical issues, underqualified teachers, and a bad environment. Their libraries are built locally so students can access them easily. They're filled with many books, equipped with solar panels, Wi-Fi, and computers. Now this is where all of you and volunteers come in. We are all educated people, and we all have the ability to help others. The only way isn't through money. The Village Book Builders have people from all across the world get on Zoom and help these children and teach them online. My own club at my school that I am part of is called the Village Mentors. They are a branch of this organization. Originally, I had joined as a freshman because my friend was on the exec board and she needed more people within the club. However, as I went to more and more meetings, I learned about this real issue and how big of an issue it is. I also learned how it's only getting worse, even though we have the ability to help these kids. If you were to try to hold up a big boulder by yourself to help someone helpless underneath, you wouldn't be able to lift it. But if you had 10 more people helping you, 20 more people, 30, 40, you would all be able to share the weight and lift that boulder off that person's shoulders. There are so many people who want to help, but the only way to make a change is if we do it together.
Thank you, Nadia, for your keen observations on the education problem which is prevalent globally. We respect your efforts in remedying the issue. Now the judges may ask questions.
Yeah. Great presentation in terms of isolation to imagination. That's really, what are the, it was not clear to me, what is the solution that you are proposing? Are you looking at, I know you talked about the education, if the teachers are not, and educators not qualified, and then people are not able to learn, the students are not learning, and we are sending them to college and they don't have the necessary reading and math levels to get there. So what is that you are trying to do? I wasn't clear.
So me, myself, I'm trying to raise more awareness for this organization specifically, because what they do is they build libraries so it's easier for these children to learn. So like that girl that I mentioned before who's from Yemen, she had to walk multiple miles, a dangerous path, just to get to her school. But instead, by building these libraries locally, she won't have to walk as far. And she would also have many different materials like books and people online who can talk to her directly through Zoom calls and help her become more educated.
Yeah, so that's what I thought. In terms of the nationally, they have promoting this broadband, rural broadband, and trying to get to the last mile to educate, have the access to internet and able to reach the world. I think that is happening, but rather slowly. And I think one of the things you may want to think about is that each child, when they are learning, they have a different ability to learn. So trying to come up with some personalized education where you are, match the education to the child's learning abilities, and that type of new technologies using artificial intelligence. A lot of things are evolving. I think that's one of the things you may want to explore. Thank you.
Very impressive, the topic, and to me as an educator, I would like to suggest that you work very hard also into developing a very effective mentoring program. Not only education of each child doesn't only depend on the resources that you make available to them, but to having able people who actually connect to the child at whatever level that child is at, to encourage the child to use the resources. Because you could offer a plethora of resources and nobody sees the connection between their needs and what is available. So I said that developing a good mentoring, a strong career advising, with comprehensive program would really help tremendously.
Have any other questions?
Oh, no, thank you.
Thank you, Mel. Audience, do you have any questions for Navya? In New Jersey, 1 in 4 seniors in care homes regularly experience loneliness. Nationally, the number has risen to 40%. According to the National Academics of Science, social isolation in older adults increase the risk of premature death by up to 50%, equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Join us. Discover the missing note in someone's forgotten melody through Dashita Arukumar's speech of Forgotten in Plain Sight.
College is a huge milestone. It's that sweet spot between high school and adulthood, and it prepares you for that adulthood by giving you a version of the real world on training wheels. It's meant to offset you from that comfortable, easy lifestyle of living with your parents by tasking you with adult responsibilities, making you think of things you never had to think of when you were younger, all while you pursue an education in order to build a career. But what happens after high school? After college? And no, I'm not asking how will you find a job or where will you find a place to live. I'm asking, what happens with your family? The Western world and Western culture has this unique way that they treat their young adults. They have this quiet yet firm expectation that the moment you turn 18, you must detach from your family. Everybody knows this cycle of life, from the moment you're graduating college, to settling in a household, to the moment your kids are graduating college. But in this journey of adulthood, there's this message that takes root. You are on your own. And that simple message alone is enough to construct that moment that you push your parents away, that you must not accept the support that they give you, all while moving towards this goal to prove your independence, to prove the autonomy of your life. But in this ambition to prove our independence and prove ourselves in the new generation, we forget the one before us. But it's not like this in other cultures, in other countries. In Japan, the eldest members of the household are respected and revered. In the Philippines, their expectation is that adults should support their parents financially. And in India, it's very common for adults to get married and still live with their parents past that point, for grandparents and grandchildren to share the same household. That was once normal for me, because I was one of those grandchildren. I was born in India, and I lived there for the first 4 or 5 years of my life. All I knew was family. I grew up with my grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins. Those are the people who surrounded me daily. Then I moved to America when I was around 6 years old. So then it was just me and my parents in this small apartment. They started to ask me this specific question. Will you take care of us when you're older? Now that seems like a simple yes or no question, right? The first time they asked me, being my young self, I said, of course I'll take care of you. Because being from an environment that family was everywhere, living with my parents in my own house didn't really seem to faze me. They asked me again when I was in 5th grade, 10 years old. This time I said, probably. I mean, I'll probably have a job and stuff, but don't worry, I'll still visit you. Fast forward to the end of 8th grade, when I was 14 years old, just last year. They asked me this question again, and this time I said no. I will not take care of you. I will put you in a senior home. Now they were shocked. Why did I say that? Was I really so influenced and conditioned by this Western expectation of moving away from your family? But what 14-year-old me did not know was the reality of senior living. That 1 million of America's older adults are enrolled into these homes. That 36% of that million experience loneliness and depression. That 60% of that million's children do not show up. They do not visit often. So why would I want that reality for my parents? Here comes in Strings of Hope. Strings of Hope is a nonprofit organization founded by a young active cello player who recognized this discrepancy in the quality of life of senior living. He rounded up a bunch of young performers, brought their talents together, and said, we will perform at senior homes. We will be their entertainment. My role in this organization is being the head of outreach and social media. I reach out to these senior homes, I say, hey, we want to play here. And they say, of course, we'd love to have you. When I went to sleep, being a part of this organization, there was a time where I just thought that the goal of it was to spread and strengthen music. But one day, I was finally able to attend one of these performances. At first, I just sat back and I enjoyed the music. But then, my eye caught on this older woman. She closed her eyes and let her fingers tap on her chair rhythmically. Then, my eye caught onto this older man, who let his head sink back, and he closed his eyes. Not into a state of slumber, but into a state of reliving something, thinking of his memories. Then, with that moment was when I realized that music was only the backdrop of this organization. The whole point of Strings of Hope is to restore that human connection that senior citizens lose in their states of loneliness and depression. When you're with your parents, do you ever think, will I still spend time with them when they're older? Have they ever asked you that question that my parents did when I was younger? In the situation that you find yourself having to choose between putting your parents in a senior home, whether that's because you cannot take care of them, they have a medical condition, it's your kids or your work life, I want you to remember this. Your parents have been there with you all your life. So if you choose that option to enroll them in an assisted living home, be there. Be present and show up. Be there for your parents as much as they've been there for you.
Thank you, Dashida, for showing how familial ties have the potential to get stronger or break depending on one's choices in the future. Now for questions from our esteemed delegates.
It's working. I feel like I had bigger pressure to say something. I'm not going to talk about what you said. I'm going to talk about how you said it. It appeared to me that when you were making your presentation, that's what we're here for, is to talk about presentations. When you were standing up here, you had like a little bit of a stutter. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
And that was good because you recovered, right? You had that stutter, the little mental bubble. And I subdivide your presentation into two parts, before the brain bubble and after the brain bubble. After the brain bubble, your presentation was more connected with the audience. It was more impassioned. And I think that's what everyone, all the speakers are looking to do up here, is to connect with the audience. So I commend you for which one, recovering from the brain bubble, and then I give you which one, all great credit for your post-brain bubble presentation being superior. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
You certainly have a very powerful message. we tend to, throughout these different cultures, I am originally from Cuba, and in Cuba we do the same thing that you do in India. I didn't know of anybody who lived by themselves as a couple. Everybody lived with their family all the time. So it really hit home what you were saying. However, in this country, you have to understand that the dynamic is a little different, and that makes it hard, not just with the heart and with the emotions, but with your time constraint and the demands of the job. So you have to take into account and organize your time accordingly, because it's extremely difficult to stay focused on your job, on your performance, on the pressure, on your own family, and then take care of your elders. It's extremely difficult to even provide for them all the help that they require. It's really important, if they have to go somewhere, or they have to be somewhere, that you have to be present, at least reachable at all times. And that is something I just wanted to tell you, that physical presence is not always possible, but if you're there mentally and you care enough, that would be a big part of what they need.
I agree with you, as I kind of experienced this not being able to be present all the time. I totally understand that the dynamic is definitely different in America, and I see that my parents experience it every day. They work countless hours, and I commend them for that, that they are still there for me today. They're there for me for all my important moments. But in this world today, we have cell phones, we can still write messages. It doesn't always have to be, like you said, a physical presence. It can just be a simple text message. It can just be a simple, even letter. It's all about the care that you choose to put in. And something that I noticed while I was attending that performance at the senior home was that something magical was happening. While these performers were playing, it wasn't just, they just had to play. The joy that they were putting in, the same joy that they were getting out in tenfold. So yes, I absolutely agree with you, and thank you for that statement.
Yeah. One thing I'd like to share with you is that I was actually shocked during COVID, and many of the elderly people passed, and their children, they're in California and other places, they would not fly all the way to perform the last rites. And a friend of mine who runs the senior homes, he became the child of those elderly people, and it was very moving in the sense that because I know COVID was a different situation, but the parents always longing to help their children see them better themselves, and when they reach the old age and the feeling of helplessness and the loneliness, and there's so much of associated with the depression and mental issues. And so I'm glad that you noticed that issue and then bring about awareness of that issue, so that way, all we can do as human beings is constantly strive to bettering ourselves. So I think identifying the problem and relating to the problem and trying to see how young people can help older people, that's a very noble venture. Thank you.
Well, first I'll say thank you, Vishaka, for such a great presentation. You picked up such a brave topic, and it's commendable you're able to think for the elderly at such a young age. And the statement you made, they were there for us always. Will you be there for them when they really need you? What they really need at the elder age, or that part of their phase of life, is their time, your care, and that is what matters. And thank you for choosing that topic, and a great presentation. Thank you.
Now for another quick shout out for our nonprofits. We have Asha for Education, Care for Me, Casa for Children, Hidden Gems, Mercy and Love, Srinivasam, Tiny New Jersey, Drama Foundation, Youth Roots, and American Tamil Entrepreneurship Association. And now we will be giving the students 10 minutes to go to the nonprofit booth learn about the different nonprofits in our communities. And we'll resume speeches at exactly 4:36.
about missing pencils. It's about missing potential. Join us. Hear youth leader Hardik Alam's speech on the price of a pencil. Explain how the backpack could open a world of opportunity and why the cause can't wait.
You can talk about your backpack. You can talk about your backpack.
Mr. Charlie, that's
They have the power. Yeah, today you didn't see that today and tomorrow in the park. They are having the powwow, the
American
Native American Native.
Which one?
Some parks around, but they have signs all over. Route 1 around.
What would you do if your phone broke today? You would probably persuade your parents to buy you a new one. This is a lifestyle that we are used to. On the contrary, there are millions upon millions of students who can't even afford a calculator to do their math homework. Millions of people, not just around the world, but even in America, come to classrooms without lacking simple materials such as pencils, Chromebooks, notebooks, and they even lack working devices. The key to success is within our grasp, but for some people, it's behind a locked door, and we've forgotten to give them the key. And when they fall behind in class, they're not just failing. They're falling through the cracks of our entire system. You may wonder, how is this even possible? Isn't there something called No Child Left Behind? Yes, but it's not addressing the roots of the problem. It's only scratching the surface. What it's doing is that it's giving tutors to students. But what students really need are educational resources. Because without it, they can't pay attention in class, and they can't even do their classwork. So oftentimes, the tutor can't handle this, and it's too much of a gap to fill in. And when a student lacks focus, it becomes a life or death situation, because when they lack focus, they lack motivation. And this eventually leads to them dropping out. And when they drop out, it's extremely difficult to find a job because most jobs require a high school diploma or a college degree. So without this, these students are forced to do risky things and even illegal things just to get the slightest bit of money. And because of this, a cycle of poverty continues. And it's so hard to break, because if the student is doing bad, and if they can't even provide for themselves, how on earth are they supposed to provide for their kid? They can't, because since they do illegal things, they're not only lying, but they're doing risky jobs just to get money. And when this happens, there's a lot of things wrong with it. And just last year, 1.2 million students dropped out of high school simply because they didn't have the required educational materials to keep up in class. So, with all these kids dropping out, they're destined to do something. But in reality, they do nothing. The crime rates keep building up, since their only way of making money is to do illegal things. So, just last year, a 7.3% increase in child rates compared to 2023. This is so devastating, as this is a direct link from high school dropouts to crime rate, as when high schoolers drop out, they do illegal things. And with crime rates increasing, that means that the high school students do illegal things and bad things that make the crime rates increase. Which is why I partnered up with SAVA SEVA is doing is that it's trying to prevent this. It's trying to prevent students from doing illegal things or even dropping out of school because they know the consequences. And what SEVA does is they go on educational drives every single week just to make sure students don't drop out because of their lack of educational materials. As I started doing more, I've learned more in SEVA. And every single time I've went on an educational drive, I've seen frowns turn into smiles in just mere seconds because a student has educational resources now. And they can finally improve in school, and they can finally improve in their day-to-day life. So, for some students, that door to education and success is locked. So, why don't we give them the key by helping them and giving them the things that they need? Thank you.
Thank you, Hardik, for opening us to the reality where education, unfortunately, is sometimes a privilege rather than a right. So we must strive for equality in the educational field. Now, do you have any questions from Mr. and Mrs. Chibukula?
Yeah, well, that's an interesting concept. You know, one of the things when I was in the legislature, I started a backpack drive. You know, book bags, trying to collect all the materials, you know, pencils, pencil sharpeners, pens, and all that. So that really, not only that, having a new book bag also helps the kids, you know, brings a smile, and they feel confident. I think a lot of the times these are tools, but they really empower them with confidence. That helps them to learn, and so that's great, great thing. So, have you thought about ideas like that, and how you see that all the, you know, your organization will provide children with the necessary tools so that way they don't drop out of school?
Yes, we have, because we go on like educational drives every single week, and we bring notebooks, pencils, backpacks, and working devices with us, so we can provide those to other kids that don't have access to them or can't afford them.
That's good. Thank you.
Any audience questions? All right. So for our next speech, by the third generation, many immigrant families in the U.S. lose fluency in their heritage language, not from apathy, but from pressure to fit in. This is how cultural amnesia begins. We lose not just words, but also our sense of self. Come listen to our youth leader, Jayant Rajesh, before silence becomes our only inheritance, with his speech called "The Languages We're Burying Alive."
வணக்கம். நான் என்ன சொல்றேன்னு உங்களுக்கு புரியுதா?
புரியுது.
Oh, see, it seems most of you didn't understand what I was saying. And that's the reality for millions of households around the world when talking with relatives and grandparents. They can't understand the language that you're speaking in. And linguists have actually found that by the year 2100, over half of the world's 7,000 plus languages will be extinct. Imagine that. One day you're having a happy conversation with your family, and the next, it's gone. It's all gone. No one understands what you're saying, all because your language has gone extinct. Where would we be without language? We would be in a silent society, without communication, without conversation, and without many of the things that we take for granted. That is why the University of Florida has conducted a study and found out that the next generation, the first and second generation immigrants, over of them fully switch to English upon coming to a new country, and they forget their native language. Not only does this hurt their relationships with their parents and their relatives, but it also brings to them a loss of culture, or cultural amnesia. Cultural amnesia is a term to define an ethnic group's loss of culture and tradition. It's what happens when they forget where they come from. And this has happened to me as well. When I was 4, I came to the US speaking Tamil, but not being able to read or write at all. And quickly in the next 2 years, I had transitioned to fully speaking English. Not only did this hurt my relationship with my relatives and my friends, it also gave me a loss of culture. That's why I enrolled in California Tamil Academy to help me regain that culture, to regain my connection. In California Tamil Academy, what they do is they learn about Tamil, its speech, its language, its nuances, and most importantly, its culture. Not only did I learn about the things that I forgot, but I learned that Tamil as a language isn't just the oldest language in the world. It's so much more. And not only is Tamil an example, there are so much more. For example, in Nigeria, the language Yoruba is being driven out of cities and countries through the government. In Mexico, the language Nahuatl. In Mexico, the language Nahuatl is being driven out of indigenous communities And in the Philippines, many regional languages are no longer in circulation due to the commonplace adaptation of English. So not only is this an issue around the world, but it is an issue right here in the US. California Tamil Academy has over 40 branches with over 20,000 students and 2,000 volunteers who are ready to help and prove that language is the foundation of our society. Language is the way to communicate. And without language, a silent society will be our future. Thank you.
Thank you, Jayon, for your inspiring speech upon immigration and how it relates to cultural continuation of the U.S. Do you guys have any questions for Jayon?
Yes, as a former language teacher, professor, I really identify myself a lot with your speech. There is one thing that people don't realize, that by introducing languages, as many as possible to a child, prior to 7 or 8 years, the child will be fluent in all the languages. It's no limit, because the brain will store the information in different compartments of the brain. And after 7 to about 10, he will learn with a little bit more of difficulty, but will be learned and assimilated. But the people who insist on being monolingual, meaning only one language and that's it, they're cutting, as you say, the chances for a child to develop better brain function as well as cultural heritage assimilation. So it's very true what you're saying, and I hope that all parents keep in mind the importance. And I will actually put the Nahuatl right now is, and you're right, in Mexico, is being completely wiped out. And I know by firsthand that it's really being done a town at a time with the indigenous people. But, and it's also used as a way to cultural alienation, because if you speak that, you have practically no rights. So it's also used like that as a way to keep a group of people away from the resources. So it's a very good thing that awareness should be brought up to that.
I don't know whether, New Jersey State, we have what's called heritage languages. It could be Tamil, Telugu, could be Hindi, Gujarati, Malayalam, etc. Or Greek, for that matter, any language that you are bringing from your country, native country, and you can teach them in like a community center or a temple, classes. You can teach that, and you can, working with the local school district, you can get 3 credits or more, and that facility is available. So I think it's very important that we retain the languages, whatever languages, mother tongue. Mother tongue is very important, whether it's Tamil, Telugu, whatever language might be. It is important, and we have to stress, because as you learn more languages and your ability, not only having grammar, vocabulary, etc., your brain really expands. And also they say that to fight dementia and Alzheimer's, they say learning a new language at the age of 50 or above is going to help. So language plays a pivotal role in human development and prevention of some of these brain-related diseases. So thank you for pointing it out.
And again, this is a reminder for all students to continue filling out their worksheets about today's extraordinary speeches that they're hearing. Next, hunger exists in New Jersey, not in headlines, but in homes. Across the state, food banks report rising demands, especially from working families who don't qualify for assistance, but still go without. If we want to build stronger schools and safer communities, we have to start by asking, who among us is going to bed hungry? Come listen to our youth leader, Anik Bonagiri, advocating for this, because hunger in our backyard should never be easy to ignore, with the speech, "Hungry while the world goes on."
Every single day, we waste enough food to nourish entire cities. And yet, children and parents still go to sleep on empty stomachs. I want you to picture yourselves being one of these people. Having to go to work or school without an actual meal to fuel you through the entire day. Having to fight through that hunger, seeing others eat while you're pretending like you're not starving. And having to go back home, wondering if there will actually be anything waiting for you on the dinner table tonight. This isn't the reality for some faraway place off in the distance. This is the reality for tens of millions of people in just our country. Hundreds of thousands in our state alone. But what may be even more surprising to you is that many of these people aren't some homeless you see roaming around in the city. They're families in our own communities, working parents, children, and seniors who just simply cannot get a grasp of that basic human necessity. Something as simple as a meal, something we take for granted various times a day, has become a desperate struggle for people just a few houses down from you. Despite living in one of the wealthiest nations in the world, 13.5% of U.S. households experience food insecurity. That is 50 million people who have to go through daily life without any assurance of their next meal. And even more staggering is how right here in New Jersey, in Trenton, our capital city, just a half hour away, 17% of households lack enough food on a daily basis. That is 1 in 6 houses in a city we pass by every single day. But I'm not standing up here talking to you about this issue of starvation only because of its effects on someone's physical need for it to survive. I'm also here standing up
to talk about that long-lasting and major mental toll it's starting to have on these people's health. Children who grow up in food-insecure houses are shown to do pretty poorly academically. Not because they're not smart enough, because they don't work hard enough. Only because it's hard to focus when you're on an empty stomach. And those parents who are under that constant stress are probably going to be able to feed their kids in senior cement. On top of managing their already other expensive bills. Not only will they not work as efficiently, but it jeopardizes them of that job that they rely so much on to feed their families. And most importantly, this affects all of us, right here in our homes. Even though many of us have had the privilege of growing up with full plates, we're still all in this together. Because when hunger affects our neighborhoods, it affects our schools, our workplaces, our healthcare, and the overall well-being of the places we call home. Such as our economy, especially when maintaining these high levels of food insecurity, which will face lower local productivity and just slower economic growth in general. And that unity and connection we have spent decades building can snap just like this because of feelings of shame or mistrust. Like many big issues, this isn't one where we can just blame somebody for causing it and then walk away from it. This is one where we all need to take responsibility for, where we all need to work together to make sure that having food is a right, not a luxury. With parents who have to constantly skip meals just so their kid can eat, and children who have to go to school every day with empty lunchboxes. They're getting farther and farther away from that American dream that they hope to have. Which is why, in the midst of this growing issue, nonprofits such as Savor is here, raising community spirit and the overall well-being all the way. Savor is a nonprofit organization whose main goal is to grow these small yet meaningful acts of kindness to uplift communities and their spirits. But what makes Savor seen as this beacon of hope is its volunteers. They don't see it as an opportunity to get reward or recognition, but they see it as an opportunity to become a better person, to make a change in these people's lives, and to get into that habit of constantly giving without any expectation of getting. But even with this, it isn't just volunteering that Savor has to offer. It's getting that mindset into you that's much greater and can offer much better contributions to everyone around you. From offering public service hours in soup kitchens various times a month, to having food drives every single Saturday, Savor truly rejuvenates these communities. Supporting Savor and becoming a part of this cause may seem like a little bit too much for you. Your schedules are obviously very busy. Whether it be that heaping pile of work that you just don't want to do, or trying to keep up with bills, or family, it's hard to add community service into that list. But sometimes you have to truly ask yourself, are you not helping because you don't have the time? Or are you not helping because you don't have the passion? Because whether you realize it or not, as soon as you get that passion, you can do anything. Even I used to think that I would barely be able to show up to these events because my schedule was so packed. But soon, I realized that it wasn't the time that was missing. It was the passion. When I first started volunteering, I couldn't understand how each and every one of my friends would show up to these events with these big smiles on their faces. Yes, I wanted to help people, but I didn't have that motivation nor that passion to show up to every event, and I just couldn't figure out why until just my third event in. On this event, I was volunteering at a local soup kitchen. And when we were sorting out the food into portions, I would look at it and just think to myself, how can anyone be satisfied with such a simple meal? Well, let's just say that thought process changed as soon as that first family walked in. This family of 4 had these tired, yet hopeful expressions on their faces. And as soon as we gave them the food, the smile that grew on their face was just something you couldn't forget. It wasn't that polite smile that you would see walking around in the hallways or going on a walk. It was a genuine, grateful expression. Like that plate of food was the best thing they've seen all week. And it was that gave me the passion that I was looking for. And it was that gave me the motivation to show up to each and every event. Don't see supporting this cause as something that will change your life overnight, but instead see it as something that will give your life a deeper purpose, something to look forward to keep you coming back. Because when you help people, you don't just lift them up, but you can discover a part of yourself that you didn't know was there. Even though we may not solve this issue of starvation overnight, every step we take, from supporting organizations such as Save Them, just simply acknowledging the changes that need to be made to our community. We can live in a community not built on silence or separation, but one built on humanity. Thank you.
Thank you, Arne, for emphasizing that the presence of hunger, unfortunately, is closer than we know. Hence, it's our responsibility to make sure no one misses out on food, the sustenance of life. Now for any questions from Mr. and Mrs. Chilukula.
Arnick, I am very impressed by the content of your presentation. It's right in tune, but I was more impressed by your delivery, because as a child of your age, in your age group, I didn't expect the accuracy of your voice tone, your emphasis on the points, and your ability to manifest or express clearly your gestures with your hands and with your body. It was really very, very, very well taken. You got the audience by the way that you, I mean, if you haven't thought about it, I think you might have a good career in politics. I have seen politicians up there who cannot do what you did today, and I really want to congratulate you for that. And I want to tell you, I'm not impressed very easily. And if you're not running currently, I would really encourage you to run for leadership position within your school, because you will be extremely successful.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Yeah, you got one word from her, maybe more words. One of the ideas I have is that, what was your experience, volunteering in a soup kitchen? Did you actually work there? So I have done that. So soup kitchens and food banks, I have volunteered, and it brings such a pleasure, just a privilege to do that, and seeing the people coming and having fed, and so it was a great experience. So what was your impressions on that, and how are you going to have some of your classmates and your friends to motivate them to go on a site tour to a soup kitchen?
Yeah, so when I first started volunteering, it wasn't just about maintaining the food and stuff. It was just like giving them the food and then seeing those smiles on their face just grow. And that's what really kept me coming back, because it made me feel so good to see them so happy with something so simple.
One meal made you so happy, right? Yeah.
And I've already gotten a bunch of my friends to join, just simply because when we're all together, it's not as awkward or anything. And when they finally start, working and volunteering in the soup kitchen, they get into that habit, and then they start inviting all their friends, and it just keeps on going.
Yeah, that's the spirit. That's what makes
that
the
spirit.
difference. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
We'll give you the mic.
Is there a moment where you had seen
money. And so when I finally realized, and when he finally told me that, it also kind of gave me that spirit to help in this cause.
Any more questions?
Through your time volunteering at Save the Ball, is there any event that really stood out to you when you volunteered?
Probably like I mentioned, the soup kitchen, only because like the smiles, like I said, that it grew on their face. It just truly made you feel like you made a big change, even with just such a simple meal.
And I'd like to give a quick thank you to all the nonprofits here today, and a quick reminder also to the students to keep working on those worksheets. Across the United States, STEM occupations are expected to grow by nearly 10% from 2023 to 2033, significantly faster than the previous 4% growth for all jobs. Yet fewer than 20% of high school graduates are prepared for college-level STEM work, and less than half of the school offers computer science classes, all of which stifles discovery and innovation. Join us to hear how one youth leader, Shrivali Kandalwal, is working to open STEM's doors to every student who's been left waiting outside for her speech. Equity for STEM.
What does injustice look like? Close your eyes for a few seconds. What do you see? Maybe it's a courtroom, a protest, a broken system. Maybe it's loud, violent, or obvious. Now open your eyes, because the injustice I bring to you today, it doesn't shout, it whispers. Quietly, invisibly, systemically. The issue I bring to you today, it hides behind budget cuts, potential, and the false promises of maybe next year. It marks the difference between those who can dream and those who are told their dreams are too expensive. It's a story of STEM education, the story of the importance of opportunity, and the story of injustice. I know there are many of you out there for whom STEM is not a priority. It's not something you were interested in school, or it's not a field you have a career in. But this is still an issue that affects us all, because having the proper mentorship, the proper access, the proper practice is a necessity and a foundation for every field, not just science. In order to be a lawyer, you need to learn how to fight a case. In order to be a surgeon, you need time in the clinic. In order to be an architect, you can't just pick up a pencil one day and start drawing. You need to learn to make models and have the right guidance throughout the way. When you don't have the access to any of these, it creates a gap, not in talent, but in opportunity. And that gap is widest in STEM. You may think that STEM is already a default part of every classroom. After all, technology exists. Coding clubs are everywhere. Robotics teams are growing. But let me ask you this. How many kids actually get to build the robot and not just watch from the sideline? Too often you'll walk into a classroom with groups of students huddling around a single, broken down computer. Robotics is only a word they've heard on TV. Now just across the highway are students fine-tuning AI robots for their next national competition. The same age, same state, but two entirely different futures. This is not a dystopian novel. This is trending, just 30 minutes away from our nation's topmost universities. It's easy to mistake the presence of tech as access, but having an iPad in hand does not mean that the doors of opportunity are wide open. This is why I want to make it real. I'm going to ask everyone in the room right now to put up their hand. Now, put a finger down if you've ever had the opportunity to work in a well-equipped lab, whether at school or in the workplace. Put a finger down if you've ever had the opportunity to participate in a STEM-related club, whether that's for science, math, engineering, robotics. Put a finger down if you've ever been on a STEM-related trip, either to a tech facility, a lab, or even a museum. Put a finger down if you've had a mentor, a boss, or a teacher ever encourage you to pursue science and math. Now put a finger down if you've ever seen someone who looks like you in a STEM field, whether online or in person. If you're holding a fist right now, you've had the perfect opportunity that we strive to make available for everyone. But if even one of your fingers are up, can you imagine being a student who has to hold up all 5? For them, STEM is not a faraway dream, it's invisible. And that is the injustice I'm here to change. Because this isn't about fixing them, it's about fixing us, so that we can complete our promise that brilliance does not require a bank account, and curiosity cannot be confined to certain zip codes. When we give them the tools they need to pursue STEM, we're not giving them anything extra, we're giving them what should have been theirs all along. And this is not just in theory. This is backed by hard evidence. According to the National Science Foundation, people who come from lower income backgrounds are 50% less likely to pursue STEM majors in the future. Not because they lack the talent, but because they lack the access. And access is everything. A study from the After School Alliance showed that those who participate in STEM-related clubs outside of school are 35% more likely to pursue STEM in the future. But again, numbers can only tell you so much. In order to understand the consequence of this issue, you need to see it close up. And I have. As a student in STEM, I've seen the difference between those who are empowered by it and those who have never even seen it. That's why I'm part of Youth Groups, a nonprofit based in Princeton led by a group of high schoolers. At Youth Groups, our goal is simple. It's to break down those very barriers that prevent underprivileged students from pursuing STEM and connecting the generational gap of professionals and students in STEM. Although the issue is large, the solutions don't have to be. We simply provide the platforms through programs and outreaches in schools so that we can teach these kids not just theoretical lessons, but allow them to mix, build, and create using our STEM kits. We also connect them to professionals in STEM through interviews and with people who are willing to put in the time and energy to give these kids the extra exposure they need to understand what a future in STEM could look like. And the results are undeniable. These kids don't just walk away with new knowledge, they walk away with dreams. I can tell you the story of one such girl. Her name was Ria. She was participating in one of our summer camps last year at Youth Groups, and I was able to teach her. Ria had walked in on the day we were teaching the kids forensic science, and I'm going to be honest, she was really intimidated. It was something her parents had forced her to participate in. That day, for the forensics lesson, the goal was simple: to solve a murder mystery case using STEM concepts. When Ria cracked the code, her excitement was overwhelming. Not because she was the first one to crack it, but because she realized she could. She could be the one in the future to use STEM as a forensic scientist. And she would have never even known that, because forensic science was not available in her school. That passion and potential we saw the day would have gone completely unnoticed if not for programs like us. Multiply that by the millions of students every year, and you finally see the extent of this issue. So what can we do? How do we break this cycle, not just for one student, but for the millions every year? By sparking the change we want to see. As in S-P-A-R-K. S, see the students. Recognize that there are kids in underprivileged communities who are not able to participate in STEM as well as we are. P, provide platforms, just like Youth Group does. accepted internationally, but this is a community effort. R, remove barriers. Cost, geography, stereotypes, these cannot be the defining factors of who gets to pursue STEM and who doesn't. Finally, K, keep the momentum going. This is not a one-time push, it's a long-term commitment, and that starts with you. So let's spark the change we want to see. Not just as an acronym this time, but as a call to action. I'm not just standing here as a speaker, I'm standing here as a student of STEM. I've felt the power of one moment, one mentor, one yes, to completely change the trajectory of even my own life as a student in STEM. I found science, I built the robots, I cracked the codes and recognized STEM is not out of reach. It's just waiting for someone to hand me the tools. So let's be that someone. For Rhea, for Trenton, and for every child waiting to break barriers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vali, for your astounding speech upon the importance of STEM education throughout the schools of America. We deeply appreciate your advocacy for this cause. Now the floor is open for questions.
Good presentation. The point you're making is that access to STEM education is the problem. Is that the point you're making? Or?
Yes, I believe that the opportunities are not always equal for everyone when it comes to STEM education, especially for underprivileged communities, and it's not something we always recognize, so it's important to give them the same opportunities and access.
What about aptitude? Some other people are not interested in science, some people are not interested in mathematics, and how do we, even though they may have access, but they may not have the interest, how do you encourage them to get interested?
I think we can encourage them because we will allow them to recognize that this is not just an issue for STEM, it's an issue for all kinds of education, where we need to stress the importance of opportunity and access. So I think if we start with STEM, we can increase the outreach to not just STEM, but all kinds of education levels.
Thank you.
Any questions from the audience?
So you talked about how Rhea had that realization where she realized that she could, and then you talked about how you also had a moment. So what did that moment feel like for you?
That moment was honestly shocking because I never originally saw myself as a student of STEM. It was just something that other people did and other famous people were interested in. I never thought it was possible for me. But there was one time in middle school where I really connected with my 7th grade science teacher, and she opened up science to me to another level. And that's when I realized that this was something that's also possible for an average 15-year-old girl.
Any other questions?
So we know that STEM is science, technology, engineering, math. How do you feel about STEAM, which also includes art? Do you think art is just as important as every other concept?
Yes, I think art is also an important concept, especially when you integrate it to other STEM concepts as well. And I think it's also something we need to focus on to an extent.
Any other audience questions?
I have a question. Just one. Yes. It's pretty interesting the points that you're making, and I want to emphasize that you did a great job documenting it and laying it out. Your organization was impeccable. It's really, you cited so many examples that was really leading to the conclusion that you're right. So I just want to mention that and make you aware that that was a very important point to take into consideration when making a speech. You have to give the audience enough examples, and you did it beautifully. One thing that I want to mention is also what guides STEM is the budget cuts. Because if every single, not only raising for the people around, But right here in the United States, I think that establishing STEM as a viable club after school program, just to start with, because if looking forward, I do believe that STEM should be considered one of the subjects running parallel with regular science, because they think that if they bunch up all the science that they are doing the job, but that is not doing real justice to STEM. And that is so much to be learned for artificial intelligence, to robotics, and it would catch the attention of a lot of male and female students as well, because that is another thing. It's really great that you as a young lady is bringing that up, because a lot of it is associated just with the boys. I don't know if you have faced that, but the boys, okay, sure, you go for the STEM, and the girls, oh, you can dance.
Yeah.
Yes, and have you faced any of that?
Yes, I actually saw that in, I'm a sophomore in high school right now, so last year in 9th grade, I took a principal's engineering class. And the class was about 22 students, out of which only 5 of them were girls, including me. So it's definitely, we don't recognize this as a big issue, but it's even prevalent in privileged communities like ours, because I go to school in West Windsor, Lanesboro, which is a pretty privileged community itself, and yet I still saw this issue.
Yes, actually, my son, do you go to high school? Which high school do you go?
I go to high school north.
Okay, my son was a teacher of robotics and engineering in high school north. And actually, I had the privilege of planning his lessons, many of his lessons, and we did something with history of robotics. And I witnessed firsthand how many boys were actually encouraged and how many girls were kind of, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So first of all, I want to congratulate you. Very impressive speech and very good topic. I just wanted to ask you, when did you start getting associated with this club, and like how do you find time for this? Like, do you do it over weekends, or do you do it during summer? The coaching mentoring part.
For the nonprofit youth groups?
Yeah, for the youth groups. Yeah.
I joined this last year, and it's just a nonprofit that we sometimes meet over on the weekends, and we host outreaches on the weekends. We usually connect with schools, and based on their availability, host classes for kids. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you to all our youth leaders today for their excellent speeches upon various social issues. We would like to invite Mr. and Mrs. Shibukula to speak a few words upon what they saw today.
You go for it. Well, as you can see, I am not the so silent Shibukula, being my husband's half, and a whole individual. I just want to tell you a couple of things, and I will start with a very short anecdote about what your organization really means to me. I think that Priya knows that because she's going to relate to that. Last weekend we just happened to be at an event together, Pravanaram School of Dance, big opening. And before I even saw her, before she came, I was talking to a parent, and they have a 12-year-old and a 14-year-old. And since they were in the area, the very first thing that came out of my mouth is like, you should explore, inspire, because it's a great organization, they do wonders for children. There is a lot of power in the words. Words are power. Always remember that. If you can express yourself well, if you can convey your thoughts, and your thoughts are meaningful, positive, and life-changing, you will really influence the world. And that's what I saw today. There are all the content was amazing. The delivery of the content, some of you have to work on it. all of us have to work on the delivery. It's not such a thing as perfection. Perfection is only achieved when you achieve your goals to the maximum. So I want to congratulate everyone, and my big hooray to Priya for really having the vision to get an organization like that. And I hope that I stay associated or at least invited to events like this, because it does my heart good. Congratulations to all of you. Congratulations to the parents.
First of all, congratulations to Inspire Academy and Priya Karthik and her team. Year in, year out, they do a fantastic job recruiting young minds and inspiring them to give talks like this. Their organizations, a lot of these things come from their passion. You have to have the passion, and also you show your compassion through helping causes that are, nearly, people look at it and then they just pass by. And I think that's where leadership is all about. Every one of us has the ability to show leadership, but we choose to pass it on, because leadership is lonely. Because when you're there, you're alone, and it is also risky. When you stand out from the crowd, you are exposing yourself. And so leadership begins with the communication. If you are able to inspire and you are able to tell the stories in such a way that you can motivate the people to jump in, I want to be part of it, and bring that enthusiasm. And that is what it's all about. And I just want to congratulate Priya and Inspire Academy for, this is our future. These youngsters are our future. They are the idea. They are going to take us into the next generation and beyond. And whether it is STEM, whether it is AI, whether it is helping the people, getting the the school book back, whatever it is, I think it is important that we have to get involved. We have to be part of the community where we are and show that we matter and we are here to make a difference. And I just once again thank you for this opportunity. Congratulations.
Okay, now we have come to the good part of the evening, right? So a lot more celebration, so a lot more exciting things. For people who are new to Inspire Academy, this is major announcements for 25-26 is going to happen now. So wait for it. We're not going to take up too much time, because we are conscious that you have probably some party that you have scheduled to go at 7 p.m. We'll let you go very soon. Don't worry about it. The first off, thank you for being here, because each and every one of you who are present here have shown to our speakers that what they are doing, what they are speaking up for matters. And this is the kind of encouragement that we want to give to our youth leaders, because our country is in safe hands in the future. So without any further ado, first let us start off with recognizing each and every one of them, because they deserve a roaring applause from each and every one. So let us start with the first. We'll go in the order of the speakers today. So start off with Shrey. So the moment they have stepped up, what we believe in is leadership is not about knowing to hold a mic and speak up. It's nothing. Everybody can learn that. What they are going to be stepping into is a much more, I would say, hard and a rewarding journey. Because we believe at Inspire Academy that leadership starts when we start giving back. They have started giving back. They have started thinking about the society. They have started thinking about using their voice to make a change. And now, what are they going to be doing in the future, probably in the next 1 year, is what we call as an internship that we offer. And that is where we teach leadership. Because we can never learn leadership from a book. If that was possible, then the person who visits Barnes & Noble or the library would become the best leader in the world. So what they are going to be doing is that. Before that, I want to call upon our certified, we have 2 of them, certified Inspire Academy trainers. So we call them the seat. It is an elite status to be in, because they have not only completed the leadership curriculum, they have not only given the TED Talk, but they have not only done 200 hours of internship, but they have not only mentored students, they have not only mentored trainers. And right now they are all successful. They have their own jobs. There's some in investment banking, some in supply chain, some are doctors. They are here to give back. And that is a true mark of leadership. And that is when we make them certified Inspire Academy trainers, because I can vouch at any point of time that they know how to speak, where to speak, how to move things forward, anything, any skill that you would want a perfect employee to have in your life. Because we make students, youth leaders, corporate ready. Of course, we have
I think Priya said it best, but we are certified Inspire Academy trainers at Inspire Academy, and there are 2 things that are required in order to become a part of this group. As I was saying, there's 2 things that are required to become part of this group. 1 is to complete the TED Talk, which is the final level of speeches at Inspire Academy, but 2 is to show continued leadership through interning at Inspire. These include multiple responsibilities. For example, helping support events such as these. I've seen we have a lot of influencers here which help events like this run, and it wouldn't be possible without their leadership. And also, as Priya said, training students. So that's part of what it takes to be seen.
These speakers have done such a fantastic job today, and they've officially completed their Enfluence level. With this, they're now influencers and receive their official t-shirts. This unlocks new opportunities, such as the chance to become interns and to grow as future leaders. So congratulations to all of our inspiring young leaders.
So this is a tradition that we have. We always have the seat welcome the new set of influencers. Some of the students who are probably running around today, they were on this stage last year. So welcome to the elite club. We call them influencers. Let's give a round of applause. So now their journey is all about giving back. They do a lot of shadowing, for approximately 50 hours of shadowing, about how to become the leader, and then we put them with different tasks And today you saw a glimpse of what they are capable of, thinking on their feet, running around. And especially on a Saturday evening, when most of the youth, especially teenagers, prefer to sit and browse through TikTok, they have decided to come here and help out. They all came here at 11 a.m. today. They have not gone back home yet. And they are probably going to stay back and go back at 8 p.m. And this is the kind of dedication that comes through proper training. It can be trained, and this is what we do at Inspire Academy. So welcome, guys, to come to So as part of the influencer, they do a lot of things, and just not speaking up on stage. We have an event called Sway, which is something, again, we do for non-profit organizations. There is a competition that we host, and all the proceeds from the competition goes to the non-profit organization we support for that year. So every year we select a Sway coordinator who will head the event. It's a national level contest. We have from 50 states, and imagine hosting an event within New Jersey in a small place takes so much of hours. Multiply it with a national level contest, catering to so many different age groups, because the age group is from 7 to 18. So that is what they will be heading, and they have an entire team who will be doing this virtual contest, and that is going to happen on August 17th. The current coordinators, I would like to call upon Pratik, and Sunny is not here because he has a dance I need him, so she's busy with that. So our current coordinator, he is coordinating the August 17th, and I would like to call upon our certified trainer and a big support side to announce the coordinator for 25-26.
Hello everyone. It is my immense pleasure to announce that the Sway coordinators for Sway 2025 are Asika and Visaka.
Congratulations, and there's a lot more work, so welcome to that. So this is what, so thank you all, and we have the last part, the tradition. You all know, we have a traditional cake cutting that we do. We bring in all the interns together right here. So we will bring everyone to all the seat, all the senior interns. Everyone with a blue shirt, please come in here.
Oh, the microphone?
The mic here.
No, we're going to need a table.
Table, oh, table.
Now we have a new way of cutting the cake. You need to watch this.
You need help?
No, that's all right.
So the new influencers are going to cut the cake. Just make sure, I'm going to give you all a task. Make sure that all the speakers today are touching their hand, because everybody has to cut the cake. Right? Make sure, if anybody is not there, just spot it up. This is your job.
Everyone on the count of 3 say Enfluence. 3, 1, 2, 3. Enfluence.
Thank you all. Yes, we always finish with a lot of celebration. Thank stay back, talk to the non-profit organizations. Thank you, each and every one of you who has been here, and we would love to have more things that you do along with Inspire Academy. So please be part of us, and I request all of you to go to the non-profit tables and try to find out if you can help them out.
Can I cut all the recordings and stuff?
This is great. Have the cake. Wait.